Hi, I'm Mark Lawson, president of ECS Publishing Group, and we are pleased to have a chance to visit with Martha Guth and Erica Switzer. Martha is on the voice faculty of Ithaca College, and Erica is on the faculty of the Bard Conservatory of Music. They are not only college professors, but they are also the co-directors and founders of Sparks and Wiry Cries. Welcome to you both.
Thank you, Mark. It's great to be here.
So for some that are watching this, they may not be familiar with Sparks and Wiry Cries. Can you give us a little overview of when you started and a little bit about what you're doing?
We started in 2009 as a podcast that we recorded under my piano, essentially, in my in my apartment in Harlem. And it grew from there. It became a website, and we started presenting concerts in 2012. And since that time, I would say, especially in the last 5 years, since we started hosting the Song Slam competition, we have come to really articulate our vision for the future of art song as we see it. And that this has been a really exciting time for us. And this partnership that we now have with E.C. Schirmer is no small example of the passion and excitement that we have for this field.
Great, great. So Martha, tell us a little bit about the slams. Tell me what happens, how many you've had, or a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that I think has kind of galvanized the organization. It's built around really access. The idea is that we have teams of pianist, singer, and composer, and they come together to create a world premiere of just one song. And you sign up, first come, first served, at a certain time, and almost always that sign up gets filled in, oh gosh, within 30 minutes of opening it up. And then after that, you rehearse, you prepare your piece, and then you have a world premiere on an evening, and then the audience votes for their favorites. So one of the things that does is it is unjuried. And that was really important to us because the idea is that you are essentially just bringing to life something that doesn't have any gatekeepers at this level. We wanted to just kind of open the floodgates to see what was out there, who was creating new music, who was performing new music. Just really allow as many people a seat at the table as wished to be there.
So it has this kind of real feeling of experimentation as well, doesn't it? It allows for just raw creativity in some ways.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, it is definitely a different feel. But one of the things that we realized after doing a few of these is that the audience is incredibly invested in it. The energy in the room is electric. Right. Everybody's really excited because they're there to support the people that they support, that are their friends. But then oddly enough, interestingly enough, it doesn't always follow that the people who come to support you vote for you. So there's a real sense of newness and excitement, and audiences are invested in this.
As you mentioned, Erica, we're going to venture into a new series of publications with you all. We're very excited about that. You already have one set of publications, which it comes out in the Slam Songbook. Talk about what the vision is for this new set of things and what you're commissioning and how that's different from the Slam Songbook.
Yes, so in our festival, we are often commissioning American composers to tell stories that are relevant to them today. And often they're working with living poets, they're writing for specific voices. Martha and I, as musicians who have been in our early education, obviously steeped in the music of Baroque through late Romantic. As we came out of a really deep time of education in Europe, came back to New York City, and we thought, where is the music of our generation? Where is the music of our experience and of our worldview? And we really wanted to take the skills that we had brought together in studying, that canon, and have a really relevant relationship with it, and have a way to express that was very direct, where we didn't have to translate between our American, or actually we're both also Canadian, from our Canadian perspectives, but we could be ourselves 100%. And so as we started commissioning these composers who are now going to be published with E.C. Schirmer, we are really looking at telling stories that need to be heard right now and that listeners can really relate to, because They're describing experiences that are familiar and of this time.
You mentioned that you both are in teaching. Has been such a great explosion, really, in American art song, and our catalog certainly is reflective of that. But how do you balance that? How do you balance that historical view and with the contemporary as well? What do you do with students to get them excited about this?
I found that as a voice teacher that, well, there are a number of things at play here. In some ways, it's not my job to to prescribe certain repertoire. So I will always try to guide a student based on what I hear them saying. And if I hear that they're really, really interested in the stories of now, in telling stories perhaps of their own identity, or perhaps of telling stories that are reflective of the times, then I will most definitely lead them to this kind of repertoire. I also, of course, think that the repertoire of the canon is also very important. There's no question, and we shouldn't leave that aside. But I think that there is a real sense also, I would also say as a voice teacher, as a technician, that it doesn't actually matter so much the repertoire, that I can teach anything. I can teach vocal technique, I can teach musicality, I can teach phrasing, all of that in whatever piece is put in front of me. I really do try to let the student lead, and then I do my research if it's something that I am not familiar with.
Well, our catalog, we're very fortunate to have a number of wonderful composers, people like Tom Chiapullo and Juliana Hall and Stephen Marcone and Libby Larsen and David Conti, and I could go on and on. And one of the things that I'm seeing with that is that sometimes there's such a large amount of repertoire that's available to people. It's a little hard for them to know where to start. How would you suggest they explore these different people? What are some ways that you're finding that you are keeping up?
Well, I think, especially now in this time of the proliferation of video content and YouTube content and audio content, is that really just kind of getting curious and searching and letting the algorithms guide you to the next and the next and the next option opens up just a world where you can get a taste of so many different things and just see what sparks for you, right? I find that my students are incredibly resourced at this. Much more, I learn from them about how to find repertoire. And, with the digital availability of scores, and that they're able to verse themselves really rapidly and find stories that they get excited about. And it's in doing that they also experience this kind of ownership over the repertoire that frees them to be more colorful in their singing, to risk more in their storytelling. And in that way, there's this beautiful reciprocal relationship, because when they experience that ownership, then they want that feeling of ownership no matter the repertoire they sing. And that kind of inspires depth. But maybe Martha also has ideas about finding repertoire and ways to introduce yourself.
No, I mean, that was beautifully said. I think it's curiosity, and that doesn't actually change across repertoire, So it's encouraging students, and honestly encouraging yourself to go down that rabbit hole. Because I find that, as Erica and I are also performers. We present a number of recitals every year together, and then we also perform separately with other partnerships and other organizations. And when we are lucky enough to choose the pieces that we get to perform, which often happens in recital, that's one of the wonderful things about that. It is in going down those rabbit holes that you find the magic. It is, and often, there are a number of things that you cast aside and you say, this is not for me for a number of reasons. But it is time consuming, but it is never anything there's never any time wasted or lost in doing that, because again, as professors, as teachers, you may not find something that is immediately that you respond to, but for sure you're going to find something that is going to be wonderful for one of your students, perhaps.
Well, very good advice. So I want to make people aware of the couple of websites. One is your website, the Sparks and Wiry Cries website, which is loaded with material and that they can watch, and also obviously a lot of things that are on YouTube as well. And then I would encourage them to take a look at our website and also consider signing up for our e-newsletter if you're not already on that, because that's a good way to keep up with new publications as well. Well, thank you both very much for joining me today, and we wish you the very best of luck, and we're looking forward to seeing the new series take shape.
Thank you so much, Mark. We could not be more thrilled about this new relationship.
Agreed.
Great. Well, have a good day.
Thank you.